Good evening, everyone. Here is Geraldo Lemos Neto. I'm here with Marco Gandra and Silvana Saldanha, live from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Welcome, everyone. Good night. We are transmitting from Portal Saber Espiritismo to Discovery Spiritism Network, also Kardec Radio, and also Spiritist Dissemination. Thank you for being with us. Today is the 14th program about Chico Xavier's work. As we all know, Chico Xavier was the apostle of love, and we must pay attention to his work. His role in the planetary transition is very important for all of us, as he already published more than 526 books. Let's talk today about a little bit more about his role in our planetary transition. Today we are going to talk about what Chico Xavier told me in 1986. We had a very long conversation about this transition time for Earth, and Chico Xavier revealed me lots of things that he already had said and told the people at the program live TV show in Brazil, the Pinga Fogo, in two occasions in 1971 at TV Tupi in São Paulo, and he added to me some important details. First, we are going to talk about the program, the TV show, live TV show Pinga Fogo in TV Tupi in São Paulo. Those are the highlights of this subject that Chico Xavier himself told the people at that time. He mentioned about the deadline of 50 years, the period of time of 50 years after which humanity would go to a very important time of development. He was also very concerned about the nuclear issue, very preoccupied about the military powers, especially the big powers of Earth and their nuclear option. He was very much concerned also about the real risk of the Third World War that could become a very disastrous happening all over Earth. He also told the people at that time, responding the questions that were proposed to him, that New Age touch would begin with beings from other planets. And this is very important because Chico Xavier is the first religious figure that openly, in live television, assumed that we are not alone, that humanity on Earth is not the only one created by God, that we are a part of a much bigger humanity that is all spread all over the universe. He mentioned also that we are a universal family. So those are the highlights that Chico Xavier himself told the people in those two programs. The first one was in the middle of 1971, and the second one was December 23rd, 1971, just before Christmas. And if we have all of Chico Xavier sayings in these two programs, we have more than 10 hours of recordings. That's very special for us nowadays because we can access lots of subjects that Chico Xavier addressed at that time. As we can analyze today, Chico Xavier was way ahead of his time and, of course, not fully understood in the 70s. And maybe today he can be understood more efficiently. Here's some pictures of me with Chico in his home in Uberaba, Minas Gerais. And in a little before the 100th anniversary of Chico Xavier, the 100th birthday in 2010, I was asked by Dr. Marlene Nobre. She called me and we met here in Belo Horizonte. She stayed at my home and we talked a lot about what Chico Xavier told us in those great days of the 80s and the 90s. And Marlene Nobre told me, Geraldinho, you cannot hold all this information just for you. Of course, this, as she told me, this was not meant to be only guarded for you. Of course, Chico Xavier told you so many things so that in the future you could relate those things, those issues, those subjects to the people and transmitted it to the people so that the people could understand a little bit more about our Spiritist doctrine. And so that Dr. Marlene Nobre, convinced me of that. And in 2009, 2010, we started to publish some articles in the Folha Espírita, the newspaper, the Spiritist newspaper of São Paulo, that she was directing at that time. And after that, she decided to publish this book, Não Será em 2012, which in English is It Will Not Be in 2012, and also the DVD, the program that we recorded live in São Paulo at her program at the TV station in São Paulo that has the same name, Não Será em 2012. And the subtitle is very important because the subtitle of those two, the book and the DVD, is Chico Xavier Reveals the Deadline to the Word, the Word, so the old Word, the deadline to the old Word. And because of that, I was after that interviewed in the Casa de Chico Xavier in Pedro Leopoldo, the institution that I ran, that I direct since 2006. It is the home of Chico Xavier in the city of Pedro Leopoldo, where we receive all people from all over the world from Thursday to Tuesday every week. And in Sunday, we have two uh, openly groups of studies in about the Chico's work and also the gospel according to Spiritism at Sunday 6 p.m. And of course, you are all invited to come. And because of that interview, I was interviewed by Rebecca Casagrande and her sister, and also Fábio Medeiros. And because of that interview, some years after that, Giuliano Posati contacted me, and he started to produce this documentary in DVD, this DVD about the deadline according to Chico Xavier. Of course, none of us had the slightest idea of what would come from that. And I'm sure that all of this was meant to be like that and was programmed by the spiritual world. This is the documentary that's produced in Brazil that is most seen in the whole world. More than 10 million viewers nowadays, and also it is translated in more than 7 languages. In this documentary, of course, the base of this documentary is what Chico Xavier told me in 1986, that was published in Dr. Marlene Nobre's books and also DVDs and programs. And at that time, the main reason all the people that participated on this documentary, they were all commentating about Chico Xavier told me, and they related all of this with their respected field. Let's see what Chico Xavier told me that was very much important. One of the most important revelation in human history was made by the medium Chico Xavier after the lunar journey of Neil Armstrong landed in the moon in 1969. And as Chico told me, our Lord Jesus Christ decided to grant a moratorium of 50 years to Earth society that began on the day of July 20th, 1969, the very same day all Neil Armstrong and all of his colleagues went to the moon and put the step on the Earth's crust. Oh, sorry, the lunar crust in 1969. And that was thought to be a very important moment, not only for the United States, but also the NASA program, but also for the whole world. And because of that, Chico told me that the higher spirits they got together in the proximity of Earth, and they decided, after a pledge given by Jesus, to give us a moratorium of 50 years, so that it started in July 20th, 1969, and it was completed the late July 20th this year, 2019. Jesus commanded his celestial emissaries to work more directly in maintaining the peace between the peoples and the earthly nations, to work together so that at the end of that period we could come faster into the the interplanetary community of the solar system as a more renewed world. Some angelic forces from other globes of our solar systems feared the delay of the extra term, and it was then that Jesus, in his wisdom, decided to set a condition for the men and the nations of the vanguard of the earth. According to the institution of Christ, the most developed and responsible nations of the earth society should learn to tolerate each other, to respect the differences between themselves, and to refrain from launching against each other a war of nuclear extermination. The face of the earth must avoid the so-called World War III at any cost. That was the condition that was given to us by our Lord Jesus Christ himself, according to Chico. So, according to the deliberation of Christ, if and only if the earthly nations during this period of 50 years' time get to know the art of good coexistence and fraternity, avoiding a war of nuclear destruction, the earthly world would finally be admitted to the interplanetary community of the solar system as a world in regeneration. Chico Xavier then told me in 1986, when he was asked about the future of the planet Earth, about the following years, if we could be successful avoiding the nuclear war, what would happen according, and so that we published that in the Folha Espírita, as we all can see according to this article published in the magazine, in the newspaper Folha Espírita in São Paulo. That was the base of course, the book, the DVDs, and the documentary. And Chico told me, Geraldinho, none of us can anticipate the progress that can occur from that date of July 20th, 2019 on, if we can be successful avoiding the war, the nuclear war, the Third World War, concluded Chico Xavier to me in a conversation in Uberaba. And he stated that if we could do this, if we could, as nations, as peoples, be successful maintaining the tolerance, the peace between all of us, until surpassing this 50 years time from 1969 to 2019 in July, we could see a glorious time of development in science, in technology, in sociology, in economics, in spirituality, in medicine, in research. We would achieve a glorious time and understand our role in the whole universe. We would understand that we are part of a bigger family, the humanity that lives all over the universe in various planets, moons and systems, galaxies. We would understand also that we, by science, could reach our brothers, our disconnect brothers, and understand that life goes on after death. And so that science would play a very important role to unite what Spiritism has anticipated through the works of Allan Kardec and Chico Xavier, and they would confirm that there are many plans of existence after this life on earth, and also that they would confirm, the science would confirm, that there are many planets, that many inhabitants in other planets, many humanities, extraterrestrials humanities also. And this would give a punch, a very, a very faster development cycle for human society here on Earth in this very moment of this 21st century. Let's see some of the Chico's books that related to this. This one is Luz no Caminho, from the Spirit of Emmanuel. It was published in 1992. And please, as we can see there, we live tortuous restoration period, says Emmanuel, within which our feelings are summoned automatically to perception and application of Christianity in all of our small acts of human experience. This obligation we are compelled to comply if we don't want to fail in collective tragedies. Luz no Caminho, Light in the Way. It was published by the publisher Céu Cultura Espírita União of São Paulo, Brazil, in 1992. Emmanuel, of course, is telling us about this torturous restoration period of time that at that time we were on. And also he was relating us the risk. If we fail, we could face collective tragedies. Let's see another book that is Lições de Sabedoria, Lessons of Wisdom. That book was published also from Dr. Marlene Nobre. It was published in the 90s from Fé Editora, the publisher Folha Espírita of São Paulo, and there we can see Chico Xavier responding questions, and he told us, let us prepare for a word of fraternity, true fraternity in regards to the community of nations. Let us prepare to embrace the children of other lands, seeking the desired peace that was so difficult to be found by them. And I can see there that Chico Xavier was already anticipating some of the problems that nowadays we are facing as nations, not only in America, but also in Europe, in Brazil, regarding the people, the immigrants that come to our nations. As Chico Xavier, please, Gandra, come back. As Chico Xavier himself anticipated to us, we should embrace the children of other lands, embrace them with love, with understanding, not rejecting them. Of course, we know the problems that are facing, our nations are facing. Brazil is facing the problems with the Venezuelans that are coming to our countries, and we are receiving them. In Europe, they are facing the problems with the Syrian people, and the Middle Eastern people and African people that are coming to Europe nations and America, of course, are facing, in the United States especially, are facing the problems that comes along with the immigration, the illegal immigration from Central America. But we should meditate of our responsibility towards those children. And Chico also told us, let us all vibrate for peace. Let us pray that we are not caught in unpleasant surprises, conflicts, useless desperation, because we need unity and work ever more intense. As Spiritists, we must pay attention on what Chico Xavier is telling us. We must be united and work together for the dissemination of the Spiritist doctrine, of the higher spirits teachings, through Allan Kardec and also through him, Chico Xavier. And we shall vibrate for peace. That's our role. That we must be very much paying attention on this, because otherwise we will face unpleasant surprises, conflicts, and useless desperation. And the next book, this one is O Evangelho de Chico Xavier by Carlos Bacelli. This book is the Gospel according to Chico Xavier. This was Chico Xavier's sayings. Many of the people don't understand this. This is not a mediumnic book. Carlos Bacelli was only the one that wrote all the sayings that Chico Xavier, all the phrases, the sentences that Chico Xavier himself would talk and tell us after his reunions in Casa Espírita da Prece, Grupo Espírita da Prece, the Spiritist group of Pray in Uberaba, after his works of psychographic messages. He had at that time, in the 80s and 90s, 2 public meetings. The first one was Friday night from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. the next day, and the second one was Saturday night from 8 p.m. also until 3 or 4 a.m. the next day. And after the work, the psychographic work, and when the reunion was closed, and after the prayers and the passes, Chico Xavier would embrace everyone that was online to see him. And in between one person to another, we there at the center, we were sitting there at the table, and we just talked to Chico. And Chico used to talk to us, and in those were very special moments, because Chico would reveal many of his sightings of the spiritual world. Also, Chico Xavier would reveal us many of his own sufferings and all the difficulties he went through to give us all the work he and the spirits gave through his mediumship, and also funny matters about his life, and he had the understanding of his family or friends or people all over, from all over Brazil, that he was in touch with. So those were very special moments. This book, especially the Gospel according to Chico Xavier, o Evangelho de Chico Xavier, was wrote by our dear friend Carlos Bacelli from Uberaba, Minas Gerais, Brazil. In this very moment, he was every interesting saying that Chico Xavier would give us. Bacelli would write it down, so that we have that this book that was published in the birthday day of April the 2nd, the year 2000. It was his gift to Chico Xavier's 90 years old. Of course, the sayings there were from the year before 1999, and I selected this text here, where Chico Xavier told, "We must do everything to prevent war, which would no doubt be a delay in the progressive march of humanity. When a war of larger proportions happens, almost all is dismantled, and everything practically has to be restarted. If a war does not come in the next 20 years, the earth will be honored with notable achievements in the field of science, and second, we believe also in the social sector." So let's relate this saying that was published in the year 2000 with what Chico Xavier told me in 1986. It is the same, because this Chico Xavier told live in the center, the Grupo Espírita da Prece in Uberaba in the year 1999. And he's saying, if a war does not come in the next 20 years, so 1999, 20 years ahead of that is 2019. It is the same date, right? If we come to be successful avoiding the war, what is he saying? He's saying that Earth will be honored with notable achievements in the field of science and also in the social sector. And that's a very good reason for us nowadays, after the deadline, the 50 years deadline of July 20th, 2019, that we already are successful on this, because we are in the beginning of this new cycle of notable achievements in the fields of science and also in the fields of the social and economic sector. And as Chico Xavier told me myself, in spirituality also. So this is very, very good. Now it's Emmanuel that says in an interview in Pedro Leopoldo, soon humanity will be connected to the glory of the cosmic religion, of the religion of love and wisdom. In Spiritism today, it will edify humanity, adjusting the concepts of blessings that the great future holds for us. And this is a very special saying from Emmanuel, and we must be very joyful about that, very happy about that. We will understand the glory of the cosmic religion, the religion of love and wisdom. and I'm certain that humanity will go in this pathway from now on. I'd like to thank you all for being with me in this program. Of course, the most important things from this time on is for us to understand the cosmic integration, to understand our role in the universe, to understand also that we transcend, that we are not material beings, that we are spiritual beings. It transcends what we are and what we are here for. And also we must understand that our spirit, our consciousness, is a non-locality being. The non-locality of consciousness and spirituality is a fact. Nowadays is a scientific fact. Those are the new paradigm, the paradigm of spirituality that will hold the new phase for humanity, the regenerative time for Earth and our humanity. Thank you for being with us. See you next week. Have you all a very good night.